Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Estate Rundown Show, where deals are made, wealth is built, and the smartest minds in the business break it all down. And also where I get to interview the people behind the deals. And today I'm extremely excited to have Kevin Gross. How you doing? Kevin
Good,
Gross
nice.
with KEG Home Inspections. He services the Indiana, Kentucky area, and he's going to talk a little bit about home inspections. But just, Kevin, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah,
and
glad
just
to be here.
Tell me a little bit about yourself personally and a little bit about your business. And
So, from Union County, Kentucky, up the road here a little ways originally. Joined the Army at 19, did 20 years in the Army,
wow.
retired in 2021. Tried to figure out what I wanted to do after that, or in the military, the joke, what are we going to do when we grow up? So, always leaned towards real estate and where to get into that after I retired. And what really led me to the home inspection business was I bought a house myself, and it turned into a money pit.
Did you have a home inspection?
So I had the VA home inspection, which, not knowing any better, I thought it was just like any other home inspection. But come to find out, VA inspections, they're checking more value of the home, any safety issues.
So I'm assuming it was a home appraisal, which they sometimes get confused for home inspections.
Yeah.
They call it, even appraisers call them inspections at times. Hey, I need to inspect the house, but it's really they're appraising the house, and they do look for safety hazards, but they don't do a thorough like what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
I had an appraiser on here a few weeks ago, and that's what he jokes with. He made the comment that he jokes with his home inspector, but he's like, "Hey, y'all are the ones that actually do work." He's like, "I measure the house and take pictures, you know." But so yeah, I could see where running into that. So what all problems did you encounter with that?
Well, the main beam in the home, for one, once I got down into the basement, it was an unfinished basement, and the main beam was actually eating into one of the supports. It had so much pressure on it. So that was leading to foundation issues all across the house. It was an old log cabin, so there was a lot of issues with just the wood of the home that starting to rot out and stuff, so having to replace logs and stuff like that with it. So, and then the electrical was a mess in it. It was all done by the homeowner. So, nothing up to code.
So I could see
things
that
not running right.
I could see where that was frustrating, to where you're like, you know what, I may have got not taken advantage of, but I could see where you wanted to maybe make a change and why you got into the business.
Yeah.
So you was in the military for 20 years. First off, thank you for your service. Where all did you serve? I mean, where all did you stationed?
A little bit everywhere. I started out in Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and then from there went to Fort Benning, Georgia, and then to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, which I came back to Fort Campbell 3 different times. It was home, as close to home as I could get. So I did about 10 years total at Fort Campbell, but I was in Fort Carson, Colorado, Fort Wainwright, Alaska, which that was a really cool experience to live up there for a while. And then I did 2 tours of duty in Iraq, 12 months at a time over there. So
wow, so you've just been a little bit everywhere.
Yeah,
2 tours
all
of
over.
Iraq and everything. Yeah, I mean that's awesome. Like I said, thank you so much for that. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about your business, KEG Home Inspections. How'd you get the name? Because when I first seen it, I seen KEG.
I was going to say, I thought about it when I was starting the business, and I was like, how do you come up with a name for a business? I think that's always the thought in anybody's head.
Yeah.
But I wanted to build it something for my kids to take over and everything else. So sort of wanted to incorporate, the family name in it.
Absolutely.
So I thought, well, let's just do my initials. That was the easiest thing I could come up with. It looked good.
It does look good.
So it worked out.
Yeah, well, good deal. So doing home inspections, I'm sure that you run into some wild and crazy things. But what is one of the most dangerous things that you found in a home that the owner had no idea about?
So dangerous wise, I would say couple things. I had one where I went to climb real tight attic hatch. Couldn't really stick my head up in there to see what was going on before I climbed up. And so got up on my ladder, reached up, pulled myself up into the attic, and once I got in there and turned around and looked, there was exposed wires right beside of that attic hatch. Like if my hand would have been another foot back when I went to pull myself up, like it would have run electricity plumb through me,
Oh my
and it
gosh.
was a live
So
wire.
it wasn't even just a junction box. It was just
No,
was it just
yeah,
skint back.
it was just a wire that had come disconnected, and it was just laying right there at the attic hatch. So I was that close to getting a
Getting
nice
lit
little
up.
shock.
Getting
Yeah,
lit up. Absolutely.
and
Oh.
then the other thing, I've got into some, and they were not really a homeowner living in them, but you know, an investor that had bought them. And up in the ceiling, I found drug needles, used
Oh.
drug needles up in the ceiling and stuff getting up in there. So
I can relate a little bit to that. I've bought some foreclosure homes for investments, and it's crazy what you see in some of these what people leave behind, and I've seen a few of the needles that was like, yeah, you know,
yeah.
get some gloves and some channel locks and trying to get it out of there. So, what's a problem that looks small, but could secretly cost someone like tens of thousands of dollars?
I was going to say, it's one thing that I tell everybody about. Water is your biggest enemy
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to a house, and downspouts that drain right next to the foundation. Simple fix. You can go out and buy an extender, you know, 5 to 10 foot extender to get those down, get the water out away from the home. But a lot of people don't, and I mark it up on all of my inspection reports that I see, because anytime you're having water come in around the foundation, it leads to a host of issues. I mean, your mold problems underneath houses, termites love wet wood, so it can lead to termite issues. But any type of water, the grading coming off of your house, we always recommend that your grading goes down 6 inches in the first 10 feet. And most houses you go to, there's areas where the grading is coming back against the foundation. So those little things, just getting your grading away from your house and then extending your downspouts, can make a huge difference in.
Have you ever seen to where like maybe a basement is either moist or wet, and then say someone put some extensions on the downspouts? Have you seen it? Have you seen it dry up the basement?
Yeah, it will. It'll definitely dry it up. Because if you can get the water away
Away.
from the house, yeah, everything else will normally dry up, because I mean, you have your ventilation and everything in your crawl spaces and basements. So if you can just get the water away, they'll dry back up.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you ever been called a deal killer?
No,
Uh,
not yet. You know, I know it's coming, but
but
those are the type of realtors, you know, if a realtor calls me a deal killer and doesn't want to work with me, it's not a realtor I want to work with anyway.
that's what I tell people is like, man, you're hired to do this job, and how would I be able to sleep at night knowing that I sold a client a house that had a numerous of issues, and all they're going to do is fight and fight and fight this house for the time they have it. So if a home inspection comes back bad, I never get upset about it. I always just like, hey, let's look at this and see if it makes sense, if some of these things can be fixed, or if the seller be willing to work with us. Because I mean, essentially, 99% of everything is fixable. It just comes down to how much money you want to spend to have it fixed.
Yeah,
So,
and that's what I tell my clients. You know, I tell them, hey, everything in the house can be fixed. It's just a matter of how much money is it going to cost to fix it. So.
yeah. So, what's something that sounds like, while we're talking about this, what's something that sounds scary in an inspection report, but really isn't that big of a deal that people?
So, thing I would say the most would be issues in attic with the roof structure, rafters, sagging roofs. You know, people see that on a house and think the house is falling down. But the thing with the attic, most problems in the attic are easy fixes, like sagging roofs. You know, they're going to go up. A contractor's going to go in there. They're going to nail some 2x4 supports up, and that's literally what it is. They're putting 2x4s from the ceiling joist up to the rafter, and they're just going to space it down through the attic. Simple fixes, but people see a roof sagging like that and they think that there's major issues with the foundation, with the whole house, but it's really just wood's getting older, it's starting to sag a little bit. They're going to go in and throw some supports on, or like cracked rafters, busted rafters. Sounds bad, but they're fixed most of the time. They're going to go up and sister new 2x4s on each side of the rafter, and that's the fix
Yeah, and
for it.
just I mean, just probably $30. Like, let's say you got one cracked rafter, you could probably take, 20, $30 worth of wood and a couple hours worth of labor and support that. Lift it
Yeah.
up, resupport it, and it's not that big of a deal. But I've definitely had people. Well, prime example on my own house. I had my roof replaced, I think 4 years ago, and I was looking at it, and man, it was wavy, and I was like, something ain't right. And all it was the decking had come apart,
Yeah.
just come loose from, uh, come loose from the trusses. The nails had backed out and popped up a little bit, and I did go ahead and have them replace that decking.
Yeah.
But it literally it added. He gave me a quote for the roof, and it may have added an extra $100
Yeah.
to have some of that stuff uh, fixed. So, all right, man. If walls could talk, what's the most shocking hidden issue that you've uncovered?
So I actually had one just a couple of weeks ago, really. I got the attic hatch in it was in a bedroom closet, very small. And lot of inspectors wouldn't go in it. I mean, there's some inspectors that just couldn't get in it. Luckily, I'm tall, skinny guy, so I go into some places I probably shouldn't sometimes. But I try to manage my way into everywhere I can get. And I got up in this attic, and the whole attic had been on fire, it had smoke
Oh,
damage.
wow.
There was charred roof decking, just laying on the ground and everything. Put it in a report. The next day, I got a phone call from the realtor. Hey, are you sure this house has been on fire? And I was like, absolutely. Like, there's burnt wood everywhere. The decking of the roof is all black. The rafters are black. I was like, it's definitely been on fire, but the homeowner never knew it. They said they had had 2 home inspections, and never knew that house had been on fire. And
More than likely, the home inspector didn't want to get up in the attic if it
exactly,
was.
and that's what I told them. I said they could be telling the truth. I said that attic access was very tight, and I was like, not all inspectors, and that goes back to the minimum by law and standard. An inspector didn't have to go in that attic. The attic hatch was so small and in a place in that closet that was so tight, they could write it off as a limitation and not go in the attic. So they never knew the house had been on fire. I mean, the fire was old. You could tell it had old knob and tube wiring in it, that had been spliced together with new wiring, and that's probably what led to the fire. But the house didn't stink of smoke. Like, you'd have never known by looking at the rest of the house that it had been on fire before till you got in the attic, and it surprised everybody.
Well, I seen a video, and I'll put it up on the screen. But I seen a video of you getting up in an attic, and I don't know how you got up in there. It's like of course, you was wearing your yellow suit to keep you from getting dirty, and you was going up in there, and you just kind of wiggled your way through. And I was like, how in the world did he get up in there?
Yeah,
So
yeah, that was definitely one of the tighter ones I've been in, and that house was lived in, so the closet was full of clothes and everything. And I think you can see from the video, in a situation like that, I cover the occupants' belongings with plastic. That way, insulation and stuff like that doesn't fall down on it. But that attic space was definitely a tight space. That was about as tight as I could get
yeah,
it.
I'm glad you said that. I did notice that plastic on the seller's belongings because I've had several home inspections, and then I get a call from the seller, and they're upset, and they'll get up in the attic, and insulation and everything falls, and they track it through the house, and it's like
Yeah.
you gotta have a little bit of professionalism. I know you're in there, and I mean, do you carry like a broom or anything with you just in case you make a mess?
I
Or?
do. I carry a broom, a little handheld vacuum and stuff. The goal is to always leave the house where the seller never knows you were even in the house.
Yeah.
So any mess you make, clean it up. If you get water somewhere, clean the water up. I carry towels. Learned real quick when I started the business, always check which way the shower head's pointed before you turn the shower on. Got wet a couple times,
Yeah.
covered some bathroom floors with water. So, I carry stuff that I can clean up any mess I make. And then like the suit that I wear that just for that reason. If I got fiberglass insulation all over me, or once I go in a crawl space and I'm all muddy, I can just take that suit off and be clean
Yeah.
walking through somebody's house. So.
Right. Well, that's good because, like I said, I've had some issues to where I've had some pretty ill sellers over them leaving that. So, so being in a crawl space, one thing, even if I'm working on my own house or I'm going there to look at something, I'm always scared. I'm either going to run into one thing. I hate spiders. I cannot stand spiders. That is probably my biggest fear. But I'm always constantly paranoid, looking around if there's any spiders. But like, have you been in a crawl space and ran into any animals or?
I have. So spiders, I don't care for spiders either, but I've gotten used to them. I carry a stick in the crawl space to knock down spider webs out of my way and everything. But I hate snakes. I absolutely hate snakes. I don't mind them if I'm out in the open and I can see them over there. But getting into a crawl space, that's always my biggest concern, is I'm going to run into a snake somewhere. And I haven't yet, knock on wood. But I did.
That would suck to come nose to nose with
exactly. But I did. I had a client call me one day and they said, "Hey, I'm looking at buying this house." Had an inspector over, but they said they couldn't get in the crawl space. And I'm wondering if you could come see if you can get in the crawl space and do the home inspection. And I said, "Yeah, let me come check it out." I said, "I'll schedule the inspection." I said, "But don't pay me or anything till I get there and see if I can get in the crawl space," because that was their main concern. So I knew if I couldn't get in the crawl space, he wasn't going to want the inspection anyway. So I got there, was able to get into the crawl space, and the vapor barrier had been down for a while. It had been kicked up. So it had bare spots and everything in it. So, and it was very, very tight crawl space. So I'm crawling on my hands and knees, and I noticed when I moved, the plastic started moving back.
Oh.
So my first thought was snakes under the plastic.
Oh my gosh.
So I stopped and I started easing back just a little bit. And about that time, I seen a head pop up out from underneath the plastic. And I thought it was a snake. So I'm backpedaling quick. Well, it was actually baby possums.
Oh, wow.
A possum had got under there, had babies, and the babies were under the plastic. And I come back out and I said, I can get it under there. I said, you get somebody to come remove them animals. I said, I'll go back under it. I said, but I'm not trying to run into a mad mama possum underneath there in a tight space like that. So definitely critters is always the worry when you get in the crawl space.
Raccoons, man, they're fierce.
Yes.
And you back one of them in a corner, I mean, they'll come alive. Kung Fu Panda. You know? I mean,
and it ain't like I can carry a pistol underneath there, because I don't think a homeowner would be happy if I was under their house just shooting away at something.
Maybe get you a blow dart gun.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you brought that up. But speaking of tight crawl spaces, one thing that really wowed me. I'm not saying that there's any inspectors in the area that don't have this, but I don't know that they do if they do. But you're one of the first inspectors that I've met that actually have this contraption right here in front of us, and it is the robot. So tell us a little bit about this robot, and I've actually got some videos I'm going to put up and show people how it works. But
yeah, so I got into this. You're right. There are a bunch of inspectors that have, we call them crawl bots. But people, they will build their own. I ordered mine from Uplink Robotics out of Wyoming. But they have all different kinds that can get into different spaces. But I love it because of the fact that there are some crawl spaces we just can't get in.
Yeah.
And I would say most of the big problems that will kill a deal on a house are always in the crawl space. So that is very important to be able to look into a crawl space. And if I can't get in it, I thought, let me get one of these crawl bots, so that way I can at least give somebody a good idea of what the underside of the house looks like. And it's come in very handy. I just did an inspection a while back. The only access into the crawl space was one crawl space vent, and that was it. The only other way into that crawl space was through the floor of the house. And we brought the robot out, run it up underneath the house. no big issues under the house, and it actually, it helped that buyer make the decision to buy the house because it was an older house that had some uneven floors and stuff, so they were worried what the home looked like underneath, but the home was nice underneath, and without that, we would have never known.
One thing I noticed on the videos is like on how good of a picture that, or in videos and pictures that it takes, and it's lit up real good, and it's really cool because the way it's designed. I mean, you can get it in anything that's probably 7-8 inches tall, but it also like you can flip over and then you can keep operating it that way.
It will. If I run it up a wall, or if I'm trying to go over, like a sewer pipe or something like that, and it ends up flipping, I can keep driving with it. I just have to. All my controls are backwards, so that does take getting some used to.
Yeah, I'm sure when you got it, you played around with it in the yard quite a bit.
Yeah,
probably under your own. That's cool, man. Like like I said, whenever you, because I asked you to send me some of the videos, some that I'll be posting on there, but it's just so neat because I've never seen one in action. So I'll definitely keep that in mind. Whenever we got very low cross, because there's here in Madisonville, I mean, there is tons of houses that like they built it on one block.
Yeah.
So low, which stinks because when it's that much closer to the ground, moisture, fungus, stuff like that. So tell me a little bit. You live in
Evansville now, from Union County originally, living over there now, looking to move back to this side of the river.
I got
definitely a good old Kentucky boy,
Okay.
So trying to get back to this side in the country.
So Evansville, of course, that's where Fox 44 is. That's where this is actually going to air on TV. So you got your Indiana license, Kentucky license. So you service, I would say, Evansville, Owensboro, Henderson, Madisonville, like wide range.
I will. I'll do a 2-hour radius from Evansville. Now, Illinois, I'm not licensed in. That's something I may do later on, but I just started out Kentucky and Indiana. But I'll go to a 2-hour radius from Evansville, depending on how busy I am. Now, if I'm super busy, I might not have the time to get 2 hours away because that's taking a whole day to go do an inspection. If I'm driving 2 hours there, 2 hours back, and spending 3 hours on the inspection, that's my day. So,
yeah.
And in the real estate world, once you sign that purchase agreement, you have 14, 21 days to get everything done. So I try to keep my schedule sort of open that I have time to fit people in so they can meet that criteria.
Yeah. So one last question. Have you ever seen something that maybe a seller attempted to hide from you that they wouldn't? And we don't have to disclose any addresses or anything, but
no, all the time. And the thing people don't realize with that, and most inspectors are that way, if you try to hide something from us, it just makes us want to look even more.
Right.
But one of the biggest things that I've seen is when it comes to unfinished basements, people wanting to put a fresh coat of paint over the walls and floor joists and stuff to cover up mold and water issues. Because like I said, that's your biggest issues with houses is mold and water. And I walked into a basement one day, they still had the paint trays and the paint buckets sitting on the floor, plastic down, where they had just painted the entire basement walls and everything. And it was already like the discoloring and the moisture was already starting to show back through the paint. And it's like, why did you even try?
Yeah.
But I mean, people will stack stuff up. You'll go in a house will be pretty much empty. Then you'll see this one corner that's got 7 or 8 things stacked in front of it, because it goes back to what the home inspector has to do. We're not supposed to move a lot of people's stuff.
Right.
So people know that, and they'll stack a bunch of stuff up and think, well, the home inspector won't move it. But you don't really have to move it to just sort of peek in behind it and realize that they're covering up a big water issue or termite issue or something like that in behind the stuff. So we see it all. Like, you're not going to hide it.
Right. And earlier, before we got started, you mentioned something that I think is very important that we should say, and it was talking about termites. And some people,
yes,
they hear the word termite and it's just like, stop the deal, rip up the contract. But once again, everything is fixable.
Yes.
And with a termite treatment or something like that, you could.
And I was the same way, coming up, growing up, same way. You hear termites and people get completely scared, and I thought termites were just this huge, horrible deal. But once I got into the home inspection business, I found out it's not a if your house is going to get termites, it's a when your house is going to get termites. Probably 5 of every 10 houses I inspect have some type of termite damage on it. So I always tell people, if you don't have a termite treatment plan, just a preventative maintenance plan for termites, get one.
Right.
Because at some point termites are going to find your house.
Right.
And like you said, some people are still scared of it. Some I've seen completely chewed up, and people are like, it's fine, I'll get it treated and fix a couple spots that need fixed and still buy the house. So you just never know. But yeah, termites is a thing that it's not the end all to be all.
Right.
A bunch of houses have termites in them, so just make sure you're getting the treatment for it.
Right. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show. So do you have a website? Like, how could people reach you if they want to have a home inspection?
So I was going to say, I have a website, KEGHomeinspections.com.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook, Instagram, have a TikTok, haven't got into that much. Probably going to start doing more with that. Like I said, I wanted to make it a family business. Got a couple of girls at home that are all about their social media. So they're pretty excited about helping me make some TikTok videos and stuff like that. But yeah, KEGHomeinspections.com. And then the same name on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or phone numbers 812-499-4909.
Okay.
But yeah, I try to make myself as easy to reach and find as possible.
Well, that's good, man. And like I said, with having the robot and the tools and everything that you have, I think that, yeah, I mean, definitely, I like that robot thing.
It's cool. I mean, it's that thing. Men never grow up. Our toys just get more expensive. So that's what that was. I had to buy one.
Hey, well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Once again, Kevin Gross with KEG Home Inspections, and I'm Josh Ferris, the host of the Real Estate Rundown Show. Until next time, thank you for watching. Have a great day.